Before you dip that cookie into your milk, there's something you need to know. 8 of the most popular cookie brands on Italian supermarket shelves contain ingredients you probably wouldn't expect to find in something so ordinary. We're talking about extremely high sugar levels, controversial vegetable oils, and ingredient lists so long most people stop reading halfway through. In the next few minutes, here on Shelf Truth, I'll show you exactly which cookies you should seriously think twice about before buying, what's really inside them, and which alternatives are clearly better choices. And if you stay until the end, there's a bonus, because I'll explain how you can spot problematic cookies on your own, without nutrition degrees, without complex charts, just by knowing what to look for. Let's start right away. Rank number 8 is Gocciole by Pavesi. These chocolate chip cookies are instantly recognizable and incredibly popular. You see them everywhere, and because they're so familiar, almost nobody stops to question what's actually inside. But once you look closer, the picture changes quickly. Gocciole contain 21.5% sugar, which means that with just 3 cookies, you're already consuming more than 2 heaping teaspoons of sugar. On top of that, the ingredient list includes glucose syrup, a highly processed sweetener used to improve texture and flavor. Glucose syrup is produced industrially from starch and is absorbed very quickly by the body, causing sharp spikes in blood sugar. In Gocciole, this syrup is combined with regular sugar, creating a double sugar source. And the chocolate chips themselves are misleading. While the cookies contain 14.6% chocolate, sugar appears as the first ingredient in those chocolate drops, not cocoa. In practical terms, you're eating sugar drops with a chocolate flavor. That's why the same thing often happens. You eat a few cookies, feel a quick burst of energy, and then, half an hour later, you're hungry again. Sugar delivers fast energy. Blood sugar drops soon after, and your body asks for more. Gocciole may look harmless, but nutritionally, they follow a very familiar and very problematic pattern. Rank number 7 is Plasmon, and this one will surprise a lot of parents. Since 1902, classic Plasmon biscuits have been considered the cookie for children. Pediatricians recommend them, parents trust them, and the brand image communicates absolute safety. Generations have grown up with these biscuits, and that history alone makes people stop questioning them. But here's what many parents don't realize. Classic Plasmon biscuits contain palm oil as the third ingredient right after flour and sugar. And when we talk about sugar, we're talking about roughly 22%. In 100 grams of biscuits, there are 22 grams of pure sugar. For a small child, that means just 2 or 3 biscuits already deliver a significant sugar load. And this is the crucial point. The issue isn't the occasional biscuit. The real problem is frequency. This is a product that children are often given daily, sometimes even multiple times a day. When a child is exposed to this level of sweetness from such an early age, their taste preferences are shaped long-term. Fruit starts to taste bland. Plain yogurt feels bitter, and anything that isn't sweet becomes less appealing. Plasmon has responded to criticism by launching a version with less sugar and without palm oil. But even in that version, sugar remains the second most important ingredient. The brand continues to position itself as a safe choice for early feeding, something gentle and suitable for a child's first foods. The reality is that from the very beginning, children are being introduced to a highly processed product made with sugar and industrial fats. This isn't an occasional treat. It's a daily stimulus that shapes metabolism and taste perception over time. Rank number 6 is Ringo by Pavesi. These round sandwich cookies filled with cocoa or vanilla cream are everywhere. You find them in vending machines, cafes, and lunchboxes, individually packed in small portions of 6 cookies. They look convenient, cheap, and harmless, which is exactly what makes them dangerous. When you take a closer look, Ringo rank among the worst cookies in terms of sugar content. The cocoa version contains about 28% sugar, while the vanilla version goes even higher at around 29%. That means nearly 1/3 of the cookie is pure sugar. A single small pack of 6 Ringo cookies delivers almost 3 tablespoons of sugar. The ingredient list reflects this reality, with glucose syrup, emulsifiers, and unspecified flavorings, all clear signs of a highly processed product. But the real issue isn't sugar alone, it's the combination of sugar and fat. This mix is what nutrition experts classify as ultra-processed food. The body doesn't recognize it as nourishing, but the brain reads it as extremely rewarding. The result is predictable. You eat one cookie, then another, and before you realize it, the entire pack is gone. 6 cookies provide close to 300 calories and over 17 grams of sugar, yet they barely make you feel full. Hunger returns quickly. For children, this is especially problematic because a single pack can already exceed the recommended sugar amount for a snack. What feels like a small treat quietly turns into a concentrated sugar bomb. Rank number 5 is Nutella biscuits, and here we're talking about a phenomenon. When these cookies were launched, supermarkets experienced real chaos. Empty shelves, long lines, a product selling out within minutes. From a marketing perspective, it was a masterpiece. Ferrero created a cookie filled with Italy's most beloved hazelnut spread. But nutritionally, the picture looks very different. Nutella biscuits are made up of about 36% sugar. More than 1/3 of the entire cookie is pure sugar. And there's something else that matters. Both the biscuit and the filling contain palm oil. Palm oil is problematic for 2 reasons. First, because of its environmental impact, especially deforestation in countries like Indonesia and Malaysia. Second, because of its nutritional profile, as it's rich in saturated fats. A single Nutella biscuit provides around 71 calories, including 3.4 grams of fat and nearly 5 grams of sugar. Eat just 2, and you're already close to 10 grams of sugar, roughly 1/3 of the recommended daily intake for an adult. And realistically, who stops at 2? The package contains 22 cookies loosely stacked in a roll with no real portion control. You reach in, eat one, then another, and before you notice, it's 5 or 6. Nutella biscuits are a perfect example of how marketing shapes perception. The Nutella name suggests something special, something premium. In reality, you're paying a high price for sugar and palm oil held together by flour. It's a highly processed product designed not for satiety, but for maximum consumption. Rank number 4 is Oreo, a cookie that originated in the United States but is now everywhere in Italy. Oreo is the best-selling cookie brand in the world, famous for the little ritual of twist, lick, and dunk. That playful image makes it seem harmless. But once you look past the marketing, the reality is very different. The classic vanilla Oreo consists of roughly 38% sugar. Nearly 40% of the entire cookie is pure sugar, placing Oreo among the most sugar-heavy cookies on the market. The white filling in the center isn't cream in any traditional sense. It contains no milk and no natural ingredients. It's essentially sweetened vegetable fat, sugar, and fat, nothing more. The ingredient list makes this clear immediately. Flour, sugar, various vegetable oils, low-fat cocoa, glucose-fructose syrup, leavening agents, emulsifiers, salt, and flavorings. Everything is industrial, everything highly processed. Palm oil is still part of the recipe because it's cheap and technically convenient. Just 4 Oreo cookies already deliver around 200 calories and about 14 grams of sugar. With 8 cookies, you quickly reach around 60% of the recommended daily sugar intake. And this is where a familiar mechanism kicks in. You eat a portion, feel briefly satisfied, but never truly full. The combination of sugar, fat, and cocoa hits what food scientists call the bliss point, the level of maximum sensory reward. The brain releases dopamine. You feel good for a moment, and then the craving returns. That's why many people finish an entire pack of Oreos without ever feeling satisfied. For older adults in particular, products like this are problematic because they strain metabolism, cause sharp blood sugar fluctuations, and increase long-term cardiovascular risk. Rank number 3 is Pan di Stella, a true Italian icon. These cocoa cookies topped with small sugar stars have been part of Italian households for decades. Originally introduced by Mulino Bianco, they became so successful that they later turned into a standalone brand. The design is instantly recognizable, the taste deeply familiar, and that familiarity is exactly what drives their popularity. But that taste comes at a cost. Pan di Stella contain over 30% sugar. Sugar appears as the second ingredient on the list, and the crunchy stars on top are essentially made of pure sugar. Just 3 cookies are enough to consume more than 2 tablespoons of sugar. On top of that, the recipe includes vegetable fats. After years of criticism around palm oil, many producers switched to sunflower oil, but the core issue remains unchanged. The problem isn't only which fat is used, but the overall amount of fat combined with extremely high sugar levels. This combination makes Pan di Stella particularly hard to control once you start eating them. It's always the same moment. You open the package, take one cookie, then another, and suddenly it's 5 or 6. The mix of sweetness and cocoa directly activates the brain's reward system. For children, Pan di Stella are especially problematic because they're often eaten for breakfast or as a snack with milk. 3 cookies with a glass of milk in the morning already represent a heavy sugar load. When children get used to this level of sweetness early on, accepting less intense flavors later becomes much harder. Rank number 2 is Baiocchi by Mulino Bianco. Since 1983, these round sandwich cookies filled with hazelnut and cocoa cream have been among the most popular in Italy. Mulino Bianco stands for naturalness, tradition, and quality more than almost any other brand. The packaging, the advertising, and the brand language all suggest a better choice, something more honest and balanced. But when you look closer, a different reality appears. Baiocchi contain around 25% sugar in the biscuit alone, and that's before counting the filling, which is largely made of sugar and vegetable fats. In the ingredient list, sugar is the second ingredient in the biscuit and the first ingredient in the cream. Looking at the filling makes this even clearer. The ingredients start with sugar, followed by vegetable fats and oils. The hazelnut content is only 7.1%, and the cocoa content just 2.6%. That means what's marketed as hazelnut cream is, in reality, mostly sugar and fat, with hazelnuts playing only a minor role. 3 Baiocchi already provide about 150 calories, roughly 6 grams of fat, and around 12 grams of sugar. The biggest issue with Baiocchi isn't just the sugar content, but perception. Many people choose these cookies believing they're making a higher quality, more mindful decision. Yet despite the cleaner image, this is still a highly processed product with a sugar level comparable to its competitors. The difference lies mainly in branding, messaging, and price, not in nutritional quality. Rank number 1 is Oro Saiwa Chalk, and this is the most problematic cookie on the entire list. The Oro Saiwa brand has existed for over a century, founded around 1900 in Genoa, and it has long stood for simple, plain biscuits. The classic Oro version isn't among the worst, but the chocolate-coated variant, Oro Saiwa Chalk, is a nutritional disaster. These cookies contain around 39% sugar. Nearly 40% of the product is pure sugar, more than Oreo, and more than almost any other common cookie. Just 2 Oro Saiwa Chalk cookies already deliver close to 1/4 of the recommended daily sugar intake. And here's another key issue. These cookies are small, light, and eaten in just a few bites. You never feel like you're eating much. That lightness is misleading, It's partly created by incorporated air, which increases volume without increasing satiety. 5 Oro-Saiwa chalk cookies feel like a small snack, but in reality they provide around 250 calories and about 20 grams of sugar. The problem goes beyond sugar alone. The chocolate coating is made from sugar, vegetable fats, and low-fat cocoa. Everything is highly processed, nothing balanced or natural. The combination of sugar, saturated fats, and this deceptive lightness makes these cookies especially harmful. The brand still communicates a clean, simple image, leading many people to believe they're choosing a lighter option. The reality is very different. The company behind these cookies is the same corporation that produces Oreo. The recipes are engineered to maximize consumption. Sugar delivers fast energy, blood sugar drops shortly after, and the body demands more. Oro-Saiwa chalk perfectly represents what's wrong with industrial cookies: extreme sugar levels, heavily processed fats, and packaging designed to inspire trust while encouraging overconsumption. Now comes the most important part, because once you understand this, you won't need rankings anymore. You'll be able to recognize problematic cookies on your own, right there in the supermarket, in less than 30 seconds. The first thing to look at is sugar, not the marketing claims on the front, but the number on the nutrition table. Anything above 20% sugar already belongs in the high-risk category. When you see values above 30%, you're no longer dealing with a treat, but with a concentrated sugar product. Next, check the ingredient list. Ingredients are listed in order of quantity. If sugar appears in the first or second position, that tells you everything you need to know. And don't be fooled by multiple names. Sugar often hides behind glucose syrup, fructose, glucose-fructose syrup, dextrose, or maltodextrin. If you see several of these together, you're looking at a product designed to deliver fast sweetness and trigger cravings. Then look at fats. Cookies that combine high sugar with vegetable fats, especially palm oil or generic vegetable oils, fall into the ultra-processed category. This sugar-fat combination is what makes products hard to stop eating. The body doesn't feel nourished, but the brain feels rewarded. That's why portion control fails so easily. Finally, ignore the image. Brands that talk about tradition, childhood, simplicity, or naturalness often rely on emotional trust rather than nutritional quality. A clean design doesn't mean a clean recipe. The label always tells the truth, if you know where to look. If you start applying these simple rules, many cookies will automatically disappear from your shopping cart. Not because you're depriving yourself, but because you understand what you're actually buying. And that's exactly what Shelf Truth is about: seeing past the packaging and making informed choices.